Guys, we are live back with the Conquerors Crew doing something we have never done before. This is a mini series that I am doing with Cheryl Wright, and she has written a book called Swimming with Alligators, and I'm going to build the suspense a bit if you haven't seen part one about what the subject is. And so, as I always do, guys, I lay out the hour. Okay, I like to set the hour. And for anybody that's new, I like to just take a quick minute and run through our three pillars. And for those of you that normally watch the show, sometimes you need a reminder. So here we go, right? The first one is, do you remember, Cheryl? The first one, because you have been here. Hope. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
It's hope. I got it.
It's hope. And it stands for helping other people excel. And you know what? The thing I love about hope is if you don't have hope, you ain't got nothing, right? And I've lost my hope a few times along the way. And I kind of have a saying that I say sometimes, like, if you don't have hope, you're either looking for dope, a rope, or hopefully you can find your hope, right? And because that's kind of how it gets. And especially guys, they either do drugs or usually take their life. They don't. That's kind of how guys are. If they're bad off, right? Anyways, I'm not getting off on that. Hope, man, hope, right? If you ain't got some of that, you're in a bad spot. And you know what? If you need a little bit, we're happy to share some around here with you today. And if you have a little extra, you know what, and you got a cool story or you have a comment or something, awesome. We'd love for you to share it because it might just be that little piece of hope that somebody needs. And don't forget, man, it's humpity hump day. It's the middle of the week. Some people are having a good week. Some people are having a bad week. So that's why we do the show Wednesday. Okay. And then, hey, grit, don't quit, right? And the G stands for grace. And for grace, right, we usually are normally easier to give others a little bit of grace. But this one is the friendly reminder about give yourself a little bit of grace. Don't be too hard on yourself. Resiliency is the R, right? And, you shouldn't expect yourself to have resiliency to just go ahead and climb Kilimanjaro if you haven't been training. And so, yeah, there are some common characteristics of resiliency, but you can build it like you build anything else, I think, just like you build muscle or stamina in any other thing. So don't use that as a cop-out. It doesn't work, right? And the next one is integrity. And integrity, right? A lot easier to have integrity with others, like, hey, you're the one breaking the rule. But I'm talking about integrity with yourself. Struggling with something, got a problem, up late at night, can't sleep. Look in the mirror. Be honest. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you having integrity with yourself? That's kind of my integrity kind of reminder. And then the last one is teachable. I think we're always teachable. And you know what? I'm fixing to be a half a century old pretty soon. And you know what? I don't know anything yet. I mean, man, don't you think that's so true, Cheryl? It's like the older I get, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know.
Right.
But I don't think you really ever stop learning. And if you do, or you think you know everything, you'll be getting knocked off that high horse pretty soon. And the other one, okay, I don't have a big cool like acronym or anything for that. That one is just no quit. So hope, grit, and no quit. That's our three principles. And guys, I have Cheryl Wright here, the author of Swimming with Alligators. And she actually really has swum with alligators before. She told us that in part one. And I'd like you to go back if you haven't seen it and review that. And hey, Cheryl, why don't you give us a little review of what we talked about in part one?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So part one, we hit 2 of my 3 steps in the framework, which are recognize. Well, the 3 steps are recognize, retreat, and resolve. So we covered the first 2, recognizing what is narcissism? What does it look like? How does it show up in our lives? How do we start, understanding what's happening to us, the people around us, and really just kind of truly have to recognize it in order to be able to make a change. You have to know what you're dealing with before you can make any kind of a change.
Precisely.
Yeah. And then our second step was to retreat, and that was finding a way to create some safe space. That is space for yourself to gain some clarity, to be able to breathe, and to take whatever steps you determine are necessary to kind of protect your own peace. And one of those things we talked about, for example, was a gray rock, how you can minimize interactions by being very kind of monotone in your responses, for example, to avoid too much of the roller coaster ride, if you will. So that's what we talked about last time. On this time, I want to touch on one more little aspect in the retreat scenario that we didn't get to, and then I want to get to my third point, which is the resolve.
Cool. Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to have a few questions. Just some general stuff that I kind of wanted to ask. And you tell me, right? Would you like me to ask a couple of them now, or do you want to kind of get into resolve?
No, either way. If you want to ask some questions, I'm open to that.
Well, you know what? I'll kind of go with a few, okay? And then we'll get into the resolve, and then we'll see how we go, right? So, this is so fun to me. This is really cool. I haven't done where, you guys, may or may, most of you probably don't know, but we are recording back to back because next week I'm at a conference and I had it blocked off. And this subject it's a big one. It's a big one. It's a popular subject. And I think people need to be much better educated about it. And I think if they are, that it is actually a life skill that will improve your life. I honestly do. Because then you will realize in some of the company that you hold and some of the people that you're around and some of the energy that you're around, and but you kind of don't know, right? And so Cheryl has done an awesome job. Can put some names to some of these things, and like articulating the things that are going on in our head, but like speaking it out with your mouth and going like, yeah, that's really kind of how I'm thinking about it, right? And then I think it kind of just makes things connect. And hey, I've even had some puzzle pieces kind of put together for me, even thinking about some of the past relationships that I've had. So, hey, my question, right? Let me get on to the question here. YouTube has some great resources. Do you like any of the counselors, psychologists, whatever on YouTube? I really, I've always kind of like Jordan Peterson. What do you think about him as, a narcissist kind of expert or teacher?
Oh, specifically about Jordan Peterson? Yeah,
and I have a couple others. I'm kind of curious what your opinion of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's a phenomenal individual, incredibly intelligent, and I definitely do enjoy listening to him because he's got a viewpoint that may or may not be mainstream, but I think he has a pretty clear understanding of human psychology. And so I actually really do like listening to Jordan Peterson, particularly. Yeah. I know that he and his family are going through some tough times, especially with the diet and some things like that. But so, prayers go out to them. But I do like listening to him. But I'm going to say there's a couple of others that I do listen to on YouTube as well, like Dr. Ramani Urbasula. She's one of the top renowned people on narcissism. And so she's an amazing resource to listen to as well. And then there's a couple of others that I listen to.
I am looking online. Yeah, Dr. Ramani. There is another lady that I can't kind of remember her name. I don't see her coming up right now. This is an interesting one. Do you know the gentleman He's a black guy, and he's got braids,
Mhm.
and he says it. He's a narcissist.
Yeah, yeah. He goes by Mental Healness. That's his channel.
Yeah, yeah. I
I really
watched.
like listening to him because it is a perspective from somebody who lives it.
Yeah,
He is a diagnosed narcissist, and it's very unusual to find someone that is narcissistic that first can see it and acknowledge it.
yeah.
But it's a very interesting viewpoint where he will just flat out admit, like, yeah, I would have manipulated you in a heartbeat. Okay.
You know, I have a really big respect for that, right?
Yeah.
And I like people that's like, you know what? I know that I am an a-hole, and I am, and I am one. And it's like, you know what? If that's how you are all the time, I can appreciate that from consistency standpoint. Like if you're always going to get like that, because when you don't know and it's all over the show, it's like who I got today. But yeah, I think I found him and I got kind of intrigued, just kind of sucked in listening to him. He's
Yeah.
married, he's got kids, had trouble, with his wife a few times on and off, and he really works hard at trying
Yeah.
to cope with having narcissism.
Yeah.
I think he's
Very
honest.
interesting perspective. I like that, being able
Yeah.
to hear it from someone on that side of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, if you think you are one, maybe you go listen to this guy a little bit and you won't feel as bad when, you're listening to somebody like Jordan Peterson that's telling you all the things that you are. You get to see a guy that is, and to me, it kind of feels a little better than going like, oh, checklist, you have this and this and this and this and this. Instead of listening to that guy going like, oh yeah, we're kind of the same, but he deals with it like this and that.
Yeah.
That's a constructive way to do it, right?
It is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have anybody like any? I know you've written your own book and your thing. Do you have any authors that you like that you go to that you listen to? I'm just curious.
There's so many. There's so many. In fact, I have I don't have it behind me now. It's on the other side of my office, but my entire wall has a bookcase that covers the entire wall that is filled with books, many of them on health. I have a lot of natural health books.
Okay.
And I've got some that are like emotional or mental or self-help type books and whatnot. So I don't know if I can name a specific few right off the top of my head. I just have a slew of books.
Yeah.
And no time to read them all.
Sure. But saying that, I think that the subject of narcissism and dealing with them and being able to interact with them and function constructively with them, it takes a lot of those things. These self-aware things, and being able to take yourself out of the game and sit in the stance for a minute and kind of look at everything. And do you like the natural healing stuff? And
Oh yeah.
or would you be more herbal than convenient? I mean, that's how I am, but hey man,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do whatever I got to do to beat cancer. So
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That was one of the stories I was planning on sharing with you today. Is
cool.
one of the journeys that I was on. So
Yeah.
I guess I could just dive right into it if you want.
Yeah, it feels right to me.
Okay. Well, why not? Good timing. Okay. So I'm just going to tell my little story for a moment. So
You got it.
just picture in your mind. Okay. I am driving down the road. I've got my kids in the back, minding my own business. I'm probably thinking about world peace or something like that. And my heart started pounding. I mean, my heart was just pounding. I couldn't catch my breath. I was shaking. Like, what happened? I was nauseous. And I was like, what is happening to me? So I pulled over. And of course, I grabbed my phone and looked up WebMD because that's where we all go in an emergency, right?
That's right.
And I learned that I was right on the verge of what's called a thyroid storm. So I had just been diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, and it was because of all the stress of everything that I had been going through at that time.
Okay.
And a thyroid storm is a very dangerous situation, and they put you in the ICU. And this is what I'm reading. I'm reading, okay, they give you medication to slow down your heart. They give you medication to, deal with the thyroid issue. And in 30% of the cases, you can have liver damage from the medications they give you. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. But I kept reading and I saw blood sugar. They have to regulate your blood sugar. And it finally, the light went off and I went, oh, blood sugar. I need food right now. So I literally just drove to the nearest drive-through and I got myself some fries and a shake. So I would honestly say that at least once fast food literally kept me alive.
I would imagine you don't normally eat that stuff.
No,
at all, right?
No, not too much. But what I realized was that I was in a grave position.
Right.
Really.
Right.
And the way that the medical community deals with that is they remove the thyroid. And,
right. Yeah.
And then you take synthetic thyroid for the rest of your life. And I wasn't willing to accept that.
Yeah.
So I believe in the body's innate ability to heal if you honor it and give it what it needs. And so I did work with a naturopathic doctor though, and I saw her every week for a couple of years, and I healed myself. With her help, I healed myself, and it was mostly with diet. I did use some herbs and homeopathy, but it was mostly diet.
Yep.
And I can say I still have my thyroid and everything is normal.
What can I ask? What did your mental outlook, not your spiritually, that's a little. But what about your? How did you do meditation or positive affirmation? Talk about.
So for me, I think some of it's how I grew up as well. I had holistic parents. They were chiropractors, and so some of it was just kind of like. I learned from a very young age that the body knows how to heal.
Yeah.
And I just believed that. I just truly believe that the body knows how to heal. And nobody taught me this. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe it came from heaven or something, but somewhere along the line, I just started practicing with breathing. And I learned that I was able to slow my heart rate down like 5 to 10 beats per minute with focused breathing. And so I would lay there when my heart was erratic or too fast. I would literally lay there and I would just breathe and let it out and breathe and let it out. And I would imagine with every exhale that I was just letting all that tension go, letting all that stress go. And I was amazed myself literally that I could slow my heart rate down up to 10 beats a minute just by breathing.
It's really breathing. Yeah, I mean, can take you even into, kind of an alternate. There's lots of stuff talking about dimensions lately, and the pineal gland and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I don't want to hijack, the show or my story. For me, part of when I was like, I better make some changes and I got to make big changes or this isn't going to work. And I knew, that it had to be, mind, will, body, emotions, health, diet, everything. And for my mental health, I had a counselor and she put me onto the Cancer Society of Auckland had 10, 8-minute to 12 or 13-minute meditations.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is the tree by the river, I think. Mm-hmm. And another one is about the stream or something. I get them a little bit confused, but you know what? They're two different ones, and I kind of put them together. And for me, I became Trent the tree by the river. Mm-hmm. And when the wind blew and it shook my leaves off naturally, that was the cancer. And I watched the leaves go into the stream, mm-hmm. and they go down the stream. And that's part of the meditation that you picture that. And they just kind of go and out of nowhere. And my leaves go over the edge of Niagara Falls and get smashed to
There
smithereens.
you go.
And, like, I used to just be a dude, like, just, like, I mean, some depth, but just football. I don't read, I don't meditate. I just wasn't into any of that rubbish. To me, I did like yoga though. I always would do, like 4 or 5 days a week working out. I always do a day of yoga, and those I cannot explain what happened, but that meditation thing, and in like 10 or 15 minutes, about all I can handle, right? Because you can probably tell being around me, I'm that man, like, I am going, baby, and I just have a lot of energy, and so it is hard for me to sit still and what I like after doing that, and when you do it in the beginning, it doesn't you're like, this doesn't work, this is stupid, this is dumb. I got to the point where, like, after my appointments, and dude, they would just like crush me, just, I mean, you know what? I just sit in my car and I close my eyes and I think about, that leaf and my stress. And I can't explain it, but I honestly believe that my mind, it is a powerful,
very, very powerful
machine, right? And I think that it told all my other cells, like, hey, we're going this way, and you bad guys, you got to exit in the stream, bud. And and it relieved my stress a lot,
Yeah, the mind is incredibly powerful, and what you tell yourself becomes so impactful, because your body and your mind cannot have two opposing thoughts at the same time. And so you will behave in a way that is in alignment with your thoughts. And so your thoughts are so powerful. And so making that conscious choice, mine was to breathe and let the energy out. Yours was to imagine the trees and the leaves going and letting the energy out. Can you imagine what an opposite outcome we would have had if we had just been like, oh, I'm not going to make it.
I'd be dead.
Me too.
I know I would be dead.
Yeah, I would too. So it's an amazingly powerful thing.
Can I ask
you? Can work with it.
You mentioned, you believe in telling yourself. Do you believe, like, talking out loud to yourself or to the surroundings? For me, I believe that speaking it out, clarifies it. It clarifies it to the universe, and it gives it instructions, right?
I think that's true. I think what we say really, really matters. And that even ties into another point I wanted to make that kind of ties back to the retreat too. And it's about setting boundaries, but it's with our voice. It's what we say. And so what we say and how we say it can make a difference too. And I'll use the example. If you tell somebody, don't slam the door, the thing of it is what's going to happen. The mind is going to ignore the don't, and they're going to slam the door. It's like saying, don't think of a pink elephant. What did you just think of? You thought of a pink elephant. Your mind, right? And so I am a huge advocate of say what you want, not what you don't want, because otherwise you'll get it, what you don't want. So say what you want. In that scenario, close the door softly. There's no question what you want. You're more than likely going to get that, as opposed to the other, And so I think it was a matter of, in my healing journey, it was a matter of saying, I believe my body can do this.
Yeah.
And that, or I would say, I'm exhaling and I'm letting it out. I didn't say things like, I can't do this, or, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but it was very much positive. Say what you want. What I want is I am healed, or I will be healed, or something along those lines.
Right.
And I think it makes a difference.
Yeah. for me, the fight, the 8 or 9 surgeons in a couple of weeks all were like consensus, less than a 5% chance you'll be dead in less than a year. You've got pancreas cancer. You need to come to grips with it, Trent. Like you are living, like you need to come to acceptance. And I'm just like, no. And you know what? You know what? I honestly, I didn't believe. I did. I didn't believe it. But you know what I did? I kept going around, and I would just say, "I'm going to beat this cancer. I don't know how. I'm going to beat it. I'm just. I don't. I'm going to beat it. And the leaves are down there. I'm going to beat it. And I literally knew before I knew what I know now. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I think God was just directing me because I had no knowledge of a lot of the self-help, but I just was like, if I keep saying this out loud long enough, I'm going to believe it. Right? I'm going to have no choice to believe it. And so I kind of have this thing like I'm healing from the inside out, and I'm also healing from the outside in. And wherever it meets in the middle is going to be the right spot because I need both directions, man. I mean, like, and people are like, like talking, speaking out loud doesn't spelling or spelling is spells. Cursive. Be careful with cursive. Cursive can be cursing. Like I think that there's a lot to it, and you've seen a teenage kid walk around going, man, I'm a loser. I'm such a loser. Everybody says I'm a loser. I'm a loser. You know what? Man, it's 6 months and that kid is either in jail or is done. He becomes a loser. And he wasn't. So I don't understand. My argument, my thought is always like, why can we do that and go like, yeah, I mean, you keep telling yourself I can be a loser. Why can't I go, I'm a winner and I'm going to be a winner? And people are like, no, that doesn't work. I'm just like,
it does. It's hard though. I think it's when you're in that mindset, it is very hard to switch it. But I absolutely believe that switch is necessary and it makes a difference. But it's difficult. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's silly. Like I would tell the doctor, I'd like, you know what? Like how many people have you had beat pancreas cancer since you've been a doctor? Like 1 in 20 years. And I said, well, doc, I'm going to make you famous because I'll be your second. And he's like, you're a little bit crazy, aren't you? And I'm like, doc, I like to say that I'm crazy good, not like crazy bad. And they just go like, oh, yeah, okay. And I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
And I just believe that, you just keep saying it out loud and keep saying it out loud and keep saying it out loud. Yeah. And, your body and your brain and all that stuff, it only does what you tell it to do. It doesn't know the difference, right? Between like reality and a dream, and I believe that you can manifest and speak into what you want to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And you got some help from some other things, and it's not perfect, right? And it needs to be realistic to a degree, I think, but mention your words so much. Yeah.
But I'm going to say that a lot of what we've been talking about actually lends itself very well to my third point, which is resolve.
Cool.
Because the word resolve means to make a firm decision. So I made a firm decision. I'm going to heal and I'm going to do it naturally. You made a firm decision. This is not going to beat me. I am going to win and I am going to survive here. So that is, you made a firm decision and it makes a difference. Well, that works in the world of narcissistic abuse as well. And when you're trying to, you've backed away from it. Let's say you've got some clarity on it. Now you're going to rebuild yourself, right? You're going to rebuild yourself and you're going to have that resolve that says, I can do this. And there are things that you can do, steps that you can take to help you along that path. But I think that it starts with you make that decision.
Yeah. I think it starts and ends with a decision, because if you're an indecision, you're lost. You're in the gray. You don't have a plan. And indecision is actually a decision.
True.
Yeah,
True.
it's yeah, and it is. I do not do well with indecision, and I get myself in those positions at times, and then I'm just a wandering generality of energy, and this energy needs to be a focused path, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know that about me, and so yeah, um, cool.
Yeah.
What
And
else?
so with the
Yeah,
resolve, I'm going to tie that back to another thing that you'd mentioned earlier. I think you mentioned it very early on, which was
okay.
about learning, like education and never stop learning. And for me personally, and I do talk about this in the book as well, I think that is also a key thing that we can do for ourselves that helps us with rebuilding our identity.
Mm,
So I think never stop learning. And in fact, my suggestion is that you go out and you learn new things
mm,
and learn hard things. Like try new things that are hard, because what you're going to find is you're going to prove to yourself that you actually are stronger than you think you are.
mm.
So what I did was I started taking classes like forge. I did a forge class and made a knife, or I did a
Wow.
ceramics classes like the wheel, the ceramics on the wheel, and
Oh, cool.
those are hard.
Yeah.
I actually did pole dance classes. Those were hard. They were
Wow.
really, really challenging, like physically, but also like the whole body image and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I did that, and then I went to Toastmasters and did public speaking, which is, a huge fear for so many people, and it was for me. Like I could never speak on a stage before I did that. So, and now look at me, I'm here talking to you. So I have
Yeah.
done all of these things that were like really challenging me, and yet, I gained so much clarity of what I like. I gained so much confidence, and I gained this ability to say, I'm stronger than I ever thought I was.
Right.
And, you can too. And listeners out there too, like you can do it.
How do you like have a New Year's resolution and say, this year I'm going to do these things, or how do you kind of come to, okay, I'm going to do something challenging, but how do you come to that? Can you share that first? If somebody's like, yeah, I do something, how?
For me, I don't specifically do New Year's resolutions. To me personally, I think they're great for people that enjoy doing that. I don't. They generally don't last very
Right.
long. I think. Well, when I did the Forge class, it was because I was watching a TV show, the
Okay.
Forged in Fire. I watched a TV show called Forged in Fire, and I thought, man, that looks really cool. I want to try it.
Cool.
I tried a welding class because I
And
thought
you
it,
made
hey,
it
that
happen.
looks cool. I want to try it. So some of it's just, my one of my children did ceramics in school, and I went, ooh, I want to try that. Yeah, so it's just been, I don't know, kind of sort of random in a way as far as when these things came up, but it's
But
just
you
being
know what?
open to those new experiences.
Right. And it sounds like, we do this all the time, right? It's like, man, I'd love to do that. But you just go the next step and say, you know what? I'm going to find out about it and I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, right? You're like, oh, I'd love to do that. And then that's it. But I feel like, well, like you on your to-do list the next day, like, well, you know what? I'm going to find out where the forge class is and I'm going to kind of check it out and decide if I want to do
Yeah.
that or not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm looking at some of your notes and just seeing, if there's anything. Tell us, about your book. About your book. Do you ever, like, you ever get people writing in and or talking to you about your book? And are there like, is there a chapter or a point or something that people, talk to you about and say, you know what? That was a thing that really helped me. And maybe it's like
Mhm.
something that you wrote about and that was like, I'm kind of surprised that that's such a big point with people. Do you kind of
Yeah.
know what I'm looking?
I do. And so the book is laid out to follow the recognize, retreat, and resolve format.
Okay.
But I will say, I probably spend half the book on the recognize phase because there's a lot to it. There's just a lot to really understand and grasp. But what I do is I interweave personal stories to give examples. So I talk about, I did a lot of research and I talk about various aspects of narcissism and what it looks like. And then I have a personal story that I share to kind of illustrate how that showed up for me in my life. And I've definitely gotten some feedback from people saying, that, fortunately I wrote it in a way that it wasn't over their heads. It wasn't like, psychology speak. It was really like, this is a personal story I'm sharing with you. This is what it how it shows up, how it impacted me. And so the first, like half of the book is really about, when I was writing it, I'm like, there was so much to know.
Yeah.
But then I step into the retreat and the resolve, and I surprised myself even. I spent an entire chapter on journaling, which I would not have expected.
Wow.
But I learned that there's different ways to journal depending on what you want to get out of it. So there's a lot of that. I love recommending that whole chapter because journaling can serve a purpose in so many ways. One of it is just documenting that you're not crazy. Like you actually experienced that, right? Especially if someone's been gaslighting you to question whether or not you think it's real, right? So that's like, it really happened. But there's other aspects to journaling that can help you release things in certain ways. And so that was really interesting to me when I was researching, and I was like, I can't believe I did a whole chapter on just journaling.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. I have been a part of a book collaborative series, and I've written a chapter in the first 3 volumes. And it's continued on. The lady that does it's super cool. And I found like even me, and I'm not into writing. Okay. But I wrote, well, obviously I wrote about my cancer journey, right? That's what I'm the cancer guy in the book, right? It's about people that have a major thing, that crisis or whatever, like, and what it was and the details and how they beat it, and very similar to what the Conquerors Crew is about, right? And it was really, I cannot believe for me, and I think I have like some depth, but not, I like football and UFC and, drinking beer with my buddies and, like work, like I like working, like I like doing my popcorn factory. I'm just kind of a dude, but my feelings run deep, and my feelings are really deep and I really care. And, and things that people could say to me, can just crush me, and I have feelings, a lot of feelings for others, and helping people and things like that. So I think that it is one of the most therapeutic, best things that you can do is to get it down on paper. Because you know what? You don't buy a house talking about it. You got to sign the paper. I think the speaking brings it out, but then when you put it on the paper, it's like, it's even like the next level, like of commitment or whatever,
Yeah, it is definitely.
Yeah,
it was very rewarding and healing to even write the book too. Like I had thought about it for, I don't know how long, years. I thought about, I'll write a book. And a lot of people, I think everyone should write a book, right? But I thought about it before, like, I should write a book about, this, that, and the other thing. And then when it came down to it, it was intense. I worked on it every single day for months on end. But it's very rewarding, and I still think everyone should do it.
How long do you think it kind of took you to do the writing?
So I followed a program from the LA writing coach, which I recommend, but it was, she has a specific method, and in that method, a lot of upfront planning happens, which is I think if you just start thinking you're going to write without a plan, it kind of really doesn't go anywhere. And that's what I had done over years. I had written a little and didn't go anywhere. So you have a plan. You make this plan. And then with each step of making this plan, you get a little bit more detailed, until you have like your full outline ready. And once you have your outline, then you write, right? That's when you do your writing. And so I spent about 3 or 4 months planning. Then I spent 10 weeks writing. So I wrote it pretty fast.
Wow. Yeah, you did.
And then I did research to, I did a lot of research to back it up. And then the rest of it was editing and publishing. And that took about 6 months. So from start to finish, it was less than a year, which I think is incredibly fast.
Wow. And so you did that like in your free time, still working?
Still working. I pretty much waited till everybody in the house went to bed when it was nice and quiet. And then I could sit and concentrate and work.
Yeah. The thing that was cool about doing the collaborative was that the lady that that does it, her name is Michelle Jewsbury. She's like an abuse kind of coach, and she had been in a physically, financially, verbally, all kind of an abusive relationship, and she wrote a book about it, and she kind of just progressed and that's quite a well-known like speaking, coaching, and classes and all sorts of stuff. And one of the things that she does is this book collaborative. And I was kind of on like the free podcast circuit back when I started, because I don't like speaking in front of people. I don't like speaking in front of crowds. I don't like when everybody's looking at me. This, I love it. I love having a chat with you. I mean, this is my element. This is my thing, right? And I could do it with several people. And I don't mind if there's a whole bunch of, listeners, because like if we mess up, then I'm just going to cut the tape and fix it. That's kind of what I tell myself, right? And so public speaking is really hard on me, and whatever. But she, that's why I started doing the podcasting, because I was like, I want to tell my story, but I'm so scared to tell my story that the only way I know how to do it is like to do it like this. Mm-hmm. And she heard my story and called me and asked me if I'd be a part of her first chapter.
Nice.
Heck yeah. I was at that time interviewing like book writing groups, kind of like your LA group thing. And, meeting with 2 or 3, people that, about the whole deal. And, it's like anywhere from like 30 grand to freaking 300 if you want it. Right. And, I was looking at, I've written over 110 pages of my biography, my own book. Mm-hmm. And she came and said, like, I'm doing this collaborative. And I'm like, well, what are you talking? What is that? And he's like, well, more or less, I get a group of people together and everybody writes a chapter and it's their mini story. And I'm like, that is such a great idea.
Yeah.
And I did like my first chapter. God, man, it took me like five times to do, doing it and rewriting it. And it took me several weeks. By the time I did the third one, I mean, it was like in, a day and a half, I kind of wrote the whole chapter. And then I was done in like 2 days or so. And it's a chapter. You can do a chapter. A book, yes. A book that's a real commitment, but a chapter. And that's one of the things that I actually was working on putting together at the end of last year when I was on X and doing that, and I had a group of guys that we were planning on moving and doing that. And the thing with Michelle is it's co-ed, it's mixed, it's guys and girls, but it's always like 17 ladies and like 3 dudes or 1 dude, and I said, well, I'm done. I don't have anything else to write about because I wrote. And so she kind of was like, you can do the dude collaborative. And so I have a page on my website about doing that. And that's one of the projects that I'm gonna go back to and try something new and do that.
Good.
Yeah. I had a long story, like a long circle, but I brought it back. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Cool. Some of the things that you have in your book, some of the summary points that I just kind of would like to maybe read the point and give us a minute or two of your thoughts about it. Okay, if you don't mind.
A minute or two of my thoughts. About what you're about to say.
Yeah, like obviously my plan to order the book, read the book, into the book, but maybe intentions are not actions, and but I do, I kind of read a bit of some of the stuff in the summary, and I have a few points that we've kind of talked about and we haven't talked about, and I kind of like to just read them out, and then you tell us about it. So one of them is using alligators as the metaphor for dealing with toxic and narcissistic people. Now, we talked about that for a second. We talked about it in part 1, but if you don't mind, can you tell us, abbreviate that story, like how the title came about?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a quick little refresher. When I was a preteen and we lived in the deep South in Georgia, right on the coast of the ocean, we swam in the creek knowing that there were alligators on the other side of the creek. And we just foolishly thought we would see them coming. As an adult, I've learned that that's not what's going to happen. An alligator would come at you from underneath. They would pull you under and thrash you around.
Yeah.
And then you're done. So I had basically, with that experience, decided that alligators or narcissists are very similar to alligators, because you do know they're out there. You do know they're dangerous, but you think you're going to spot them coming, and you miss it. You miss it completely until they've pulled you under and thrashed you around a bit. And then one or the other or both of you get hurt.
Right. Yeah. So that's where the title came from. I think that's so cool.
Title came from. Yes.
I think that's so cool. And we touched on this a little bit, but I'm just gonna read it out again. The book has some focus on recognizing emotional manipulation patterns. And we talked about that a little bit, but do you have like some pointers or some tips or some like key things that kind of show that pattern?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would think one of the biggest emotional manipulators is gaslighting. And gaslighting, actually, the term for gaslighting came about with a play that was created in the late 1930s, and then was later adapted into a movie. But it was basically about this man who was trying to make his wife insane. And so he would lower the gas lights, like turning the lights down just a little bit. And she would comment about the lights were changing. And he would tell her no, that she's crazy. Like lights weren't changing at all. And so that's where the term came from. But it was basically this intentional manipulation to make you doubt your own reality, even though you knew, you could visually see the lights were changing, and you would call it out and he'd be like, no, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So that is one of the biggest things is gaslighting.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because you're like, no, yesterday you said that, you said that, not that, and you're like, no, I didn't. No. I said that, and you're like
I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
and like to the point where you actually doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Or
another thing that they might do is the other thing they might do is they kind of poke and prod to get you to react. Then when you react, then they'll be like, why are you getting so upset? We're just talking.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into the gaslighting a little bit too, but it's basically like And there's a term for that. That's called reactive abuse. But they push you to a point where you react strongly, and then they'll turn it around on you and say, well, look, you're the one who's yelling at me. You're abusing me. I'm not doing anything wrong.
I got a little story about that one that I experienced for me. A girl I was dating, she had a roommate, and the roommate just, always was taking advantage of her, or, just, like tearing the house up, or, their dogs messed in the house, or, she, what I mean, it made me dislike the roommate. That, so much. I was just like, why do you put up with this? Why do you do that? And, and it's like, I just feel sorry for her. And, like she helped me out when I was in a bad way. And all that. And it got to be where, like, I really disliked it, and I, on, because of what I was told. And I knew that I had gotten when, I was, one day or whatever, and this girl said, I didn't make you choose to be angry like that. You're the one that decided that you don't like her. And I'm like, because of all the things that you told me, then you dislike her. And therefore I do as well. And it's like, no, you chose you chose to not like her. I don't care. I don't mind. And I'm like,
what just happened?
You know what? That it ruined my friendship with this girl, with the roommate, and it made it so bad that, like, it was uncomfortable. And so, like, if I was going to come around, she would make sure that she wasn't around. And then, like, if we ever passed each other, she was very awkwardly uncomfortable. I wasn't, because, like, I'm not gonna. I realized what had happened, and I was like, I was disappointed and frustrated, mad at myself for going like, man, I really got played on that one, man. And it destroyed the dynamic of the friendship, of all the fun times of, like, that we spent the time together, and the memories we did, and the things we created, and had all this fun together. And then it's like, I feel uncomfortable, and this girl thinks that I don't like her, and and you little, like, puppet master, have done all this shit, and you love it. You're a sick fucking person. Excuse my language, right? I mean, seriously, like, that is
causing trouble.
That's sick, man. And then I saw that she does that she pits.
Oh yeah, pit people against each other.
Yeah, I mean, even kids, even children.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The kids don't matter. The kids are pawns, man.
It's not uncommon, actually, in family scenarios where maybe one or other of the parent is a narcissistic person. It's not uncommon for them to pit the children against each other, or they might pick a favored golden child, and then they pick one that's a scapegoat. And it harms the relationship of both of them, whether they're whether they're the golden child or whether they're the scapegoat. It's harmful to either one or both. It does happen.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I understand why they even like that, because then, right? Because then, and I mean, I was still around, I just, looking back, I see, all the kind of the path of what had happened. But when I was still kind of around, But then this girl was like, it's the end of the world that no one wants to come over anymore, and no one wants to hang around, and no one wants to be your friend. And I'm like, well, because you've done this to people. You make people enemies of each other that actually like each other and had no reason to dislike each other.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, for me, there was some of what was going on. It's just roommate crap, right? Whatever. But I think it was extremely embellished, and I think it was, I think, and there was, I know now that like there was absolutely no problem whatsoever about just lying to fit the situation. I think narcissists do that.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, they don't care what the truth is. Because tomorrow can be different, and it's just like a snapshot thing, right?
Yeah. I think you've touched upon. There's kind of like two main types of the narcissists. There's one that is the grandiose or overt, and those are going to be the ones that are more like, look at me, I walk into the room, pay attention to me, And then you've got this other side, which is the vulnerable or covert, and those are the ones that are, woe is me, I'm a victim, and they play the victim card quite often, and so that's kind of what that sounds like. Is like, well, everyone's against me. I'm a victim here. I'm a victim. And it's just, and so you're constantly trying to help them to make it better, to help.
Right.
And so that, you have both of those, but I can see that playing out in the scenario that you described.
And another, person that my counselor identified as a narcissist, in my past, they were both of those. They were that. They were, everything is about me all the time. I'm the greatest thing. I did this at work. I did that at work. Everything's awesome. I did it. Da, 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 da. And then, like, it was and then this is the 180, like the ultimate victim. Like I mean, it was unbelievable. Like every couple of months, this guy was changing jobs. I mean, they can't hold a job. Because, so like it can't, because you were saying there's two different ones, but
there's the main traits of narcissism in general is that self-importance, and that's on both of them, right? That's on both of them, but there definitely is some
still to me
more overt signals.
Well, and then the victim thing is still like, well, the victim thing is like, but still I won't get all the attention, right? So
exactly.
Okay, this one highlights confusion, self-doubt, and walking on eggshell dynamics. We've talked about that a little bit, kind of, so.
Sure. So when someone is unpredictable, you don't ever know what kind of response you're going to get. You come home from work and you might be met with, hey, good to see you. I missed you, whatever. Or you might be met with stern, like, you didn't do the dishes today and I'm mad at you, or whatever. Like, it's that constant, like, not knowing what to expect, or not knowing if you're going to say the wrong thing, and you're like trying to find yourself like very carefully choosing your words so that you don't upset them. And no matter what, you're not going to get it right. And so that's that walking on eggshells, because you're trying so hard to anticipate how they might react, and you will never figure it out. They will catch you off guard every time.
And for me, like, this is kind of like one of the tests that I realized, I think I may be dealing with one. If I am like just my text messages, and I am like pining and like rewriting it, and then just like, pining over this one word, and like, do I add the ly or not? And like, if you're doing that, or emails as well, right? You sit there and like you write the email like 10 times, and you're like, I still don't think I'm silly. Like, you need to realize if that is not kind of a normal thing that you do, like if you do write your emails 10 times all the time, well, then that's just what you do. But if you don't, and you're doing that with this person, and you're having that feeling that you're saying, I think that is a trait.
It's a sign.
Yeah.
It's a sign.
So for me, the eggshell thing is like, my eggshells are like, oh my God, I read this text message over and over and over and over, and I still didn't get it right. Yeah. It's kind of my.
Or in one case, it's kind of like you kind of get lulled into a false sense of security too, because there's been this promise of I'll change, I'll be better. They're love bombing you, and things will be riding really smooth for a while. And so you start to relax, right? You start to let your guard down, and then bam, they knock you down again or pull the rug out from under you, and you're like, what just happened?
I've been dating, this girl for a while, and it had all kind of come to a head, right? And it was like, well, okay, well, we schedule some time, and we need to take time out and talk about this. The talk was like, I had never met the person that I had this talk with. I mean, it was like a 2-hour, kind of like, we're going to work this out or not, or, like, it was kind of, and all these comments and things. And I was like, I've never heard this. You've never talked about this. Like these, what goal, this goal, that goal. What are you, I didn't even know who I was talking to. I mean, I was like, who is this? It was very, very odd, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I look back seeing it's like, I should have just, like, after I started seeing some of the things, I should have, I need to just, because all you're doing is wasting your time, your feeling, your emotions, your money, your life, everything. And you know what? You could be actually missing something that's a good plan for you, because this is really just a distraction. Anyways, that's crazy, man. I'm kind of in my way, kind of giving people, like, if this has happened to you, and like, I think you're probably dealing with a narcissist, right? And please, if you don't, if you like, Trent, no, that's not on. Please just say it, because it doesn't bother me. Like, if that's not quite right, that's maybe something else. I'm okay with that. So, I consider you more, like an expert, knowledgeable person. I just think that, I watched a lot of YouTubes and dealt with, 25 years of people with this. And I've even had like friends and family members come to me going, how do you deal with these people? But it's like, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And then they come back and they're like, God, that works so good. I didn't know it was that easy. I'm like, they're predictable. Like, I mean, it's like once you understand, it is so predictable that, and I just want to be prepared. You just want to be prepared that they're going to undercut you and they're going to rip the carpet out from under you, and just be ready.
Yeah. It's even kind of, if I may, predictable in the unpredictability, because that you're not going to be able to really know what's coming, which is why the eggshells, why the walking on eggshells.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got like 2 or 3 more, and if you're good with it, I'm good with it, and then we're kind of getting towards the end, I think, if you feel that way. Let's see. Helps identify behaviors like gaslighting, control, and psychological pressures. We've talked about that a little bit, but like, I'm kind of doing this because this is what's in the book, guys.
Yeah.
This was in the book. If you want to know more about it, this is what the book's about.
Yeah. So, I have a chapter on gaslighting. So if you want to know more about gaslighting, I go into a lot more detail.
Yeah. Like, if you like these topics, go buy the dang book. Right? Yeah. aims to give the reader clarity and tools to protect themselves. Because really, I mean, that's what it's about, because they are a wolf, man, and they will eat you up. I
Yeah.
don't think they have feelings. I just kind of think they left some time ago, maybe it was an event, and I just kind of think that they're a shell of a person. That's just so sad to me. What do
Yeah,
yeah,
obviously hard to know. I mean, I can't even begin to guess what they may feel. I don't really know. I
yeah,
think one of the main, again, I'm going to go back to that lack of empathy. I think the real
yeah,
trick or the real key there is that they cannot understand how you would feel. Most
right,
people have this ability to at least have some understanding of like that might
mhm,
hurt your feelings. Um, and in the world of a narcissistic person,
yeah,
they know what they're doing. They 100% know what they're doing. They just don't think it's wrong.
right, yep, yep. Or it's kind of like they've justified it, and that's okay now.
Yeah,
And
they have their reasons and that's justified to them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then kind of like the last thing is, and I think this is kind of like a good way to kind of wind it down. The emphasis on breaking free and
Yeah.
reclaiming control. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that breaking free is whether you stay or go, because I am never going to be a person that says you have to leave or you have to go no contact. There's a lot of like talk out there,
Right.
online now about no contact. It seems to be kind of a popular thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not an advocate of that unless it's necessary, but it's up to the person to decide. I have people in my life that are probably on the narcissism scale, and I choose to have a relationship with them. But you have to go in with your eyes open. You have to
Right.
be willing to understand, like, the concept of what you're
Mhm.
working with, and you have some tools for how you can respond and interact, so that you can stay safe
Yeah.
and grounded, even if you are choosing to stay, interacting with someone
Right.
who has narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah. Um, Kind of one final question, and then if you've got any final thoughts, that you want to share, all good. A person that is arrogant and that wants things their way and controlling and kind of that kind of thing, but they actually like have the ability to have care and feelings and understand, like they can put themselves in another person's shoes. That is not a narcissist,
Correct.
right? And I think that needs to be clear. I
Yeah.
want to make sure people, right?
Yeah. I think I mentioned it in
Yeah,
part one, that people are kind of throwing that word around a lot. And that does, just because someone might be arrogant or someone has certain other personalities, strong, like a strong personality characteristic, does not automatically make someone a narcissist. But
yeah,
if you look into it and you start seeing these red flags of these patterns,
right,
there's some very, very specific patterns you can look for that you can be a little bit more clear, like, oh, that is a narcissistic pattern.
sure. And really and truly, the only one that can do the diagnosis, right, in a clinical setting would be someone that is certified to
Absolutely.
administer this test. And, like me thinking, like I read a lot about it and I have experience, I can share my opinion, but that does not mean that I can clinically like
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely. I would
You can
never,
explain
ever
to
go
me.
so far as to claim anyone as a narcissist. That is not my role. I don't diagnose. And
Right.
like you said, only a trained clinical psychologist or psychiatrist can actually make that diagnosis.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all I can do is start to understand and recognize what some of those signs look like in
Yeah.
order to better protect myself. And that's what I hope for others.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you kind of see this pattern. And if you do, these are kind of a few of the tools and tips that
Hmm.
may help you. And this is what I did to help me. And
Yeah.
use it how you like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's
Exactly.
awesome. Hey, tell us, like the websites, and tell us how to get in touch with you. I mean, like, do if people want to get in touch with you and like have a chat with you and get some, I mean, it would be like kind of like it'd be coaching advisors,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My website is swimmingwithalligators.com, if you couldn't imagine that.
That's so awesome, easily cool, man. Yeah.
Yep. And it talks about the book. There is you can sign up to join my newsletter. I can send you newsletters. And if,
Cool.
if you're interested in talking and working with me further, then happy to do that.
Cool. So you would say that if someone wants to get in touch with you, the easiest way to do that is from your website.
Yeah, through my website.
Okay.
My website. Absolutely.
Okay.
There's if you sign up to join the newsletter, there's a freebie that I'll send to you that just is like a little pamphlet that kind of goes through some of, high level what we talked about today.
Yeah.
And then there's links to my Facebook and LinkedIn and other social media contacts. So you can reach out to me that way as well.
Yeah. You're on about 4 different things: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it.
You're out there. You're out there.
Yeah.
This has been cool. So cool. I have really enjoyed it. And I hope that I kind of was able to contribute some points, from the experience I had that,
Absolutely.
help
Absolutely.
listeners, kind of, because
Yeah.
man,
You have a wealth of knowledge there, Trent, and I've very thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
me too. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you're good, I'm good, and I'm gonna take us out.
All right.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you again. This has been so cool. I've never done a mini series like this before, and it's been a really cool experience. And I mean, Cheryl, you're really cool and fun to talk to, and knowledgeable, and very patient, and polite to kind of let me, act like I know what I'm talking about too. So, but hey guys, on the for real, like if you feel like you're kind of in that situation, you probably are. Okay. And there are resources that can help you. And Cheryl I would highly recommend, if you want to talk to somebody, please look her up and go talk to her. Okay. Cool, guys. Hey, God bless you all. Godspeed. And never forget that grit. Don't quit. We are out.